My friend. Howdy doody. My name's Wago Howard. I teach music here in Hilo, Hawaii. I don't take myself too seriously, but I do know what I know, and I keep striving every day to learn more about musics. One thing I do know is when I come across a song, I have a magical power, a superpower, if you will, and it's all based off of three ideas. One, the circle of fifths. Two, understanding a little bit about terminology. And three, practicing for 5 minutes every day on a concept until it sticks. Moving on, let's talk about that later. If you are in this comment section today, like Mr. Dan Anderson, thanks for that preemptive hello, howdy doody. They're very right. Share this out. Let's try to flood this comment section. Let's have some fun. Other than that, please ask questions and then become a member and subscribe if you can. If you are a musician and you already don't know what the circle fifths is, this is the channel for you. Feel free to pick my brain. If I don't know the answer to a question, I will get an answer from my teacher, and I'll tell you. Other than that, I would like to just warm up just a little bit, show you what a little bit of my nonsense would look like, and then I don't know, maybe somebody can suggest a song. We can put it into context, and I can show you how to play any song. The reason being is when you learn how to play C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished of any capacity, you could then see that as being a key that has no sharps and flats. These are the three scales on a guitar just to play that one scale in three different ways. Now that scale is called a diatonic scale. Reason being, the first two notes of each one of these chords builds either something called a major third dyad or a minor third dyad. So, what is this? Get on out of here, would you? It either builds a third of somehow. That's what all music is. Music is called something along the lines of tertiary harmony. All that means is we stack intervals. Those intervals are ratios of how the sound waves work with each other, whether building consonances or dissonances. So the long story short is you can do a lot with a little and a little with a lot. And I think I'm at that stage in my reality where I've got a lot of information, but I want to practically use it in a great way. Well, one of those amazing ways is analyzing music. So if you're doing something like, yeah, weedle, weedle, wee, gonna deedle, deedle, dee, doo, you could go, gee golly whiz, my friend, what chords are these? Well, we have an E minor, we've got a G major, we've got a D major, and I know I'm playing a D flat here, but I don't want the algorithm to say this is a song. I'm not playing the whole song. Gee golly whiz. You move that up a half step, it gives you a D. If we're playing these three chords and then the next chord we hit is a C, I explain it through the eyes of you're going to hold up your G up, nah, and you're going to hold up your D up, nah, and you're just going to play your E minor. You're going to functionally keep that going, and what we're doing is we're playing minor third, major third, right? Major third, major third. These chords all come from three different keys, which are relative to each other, and then we kind of see what chords don't fit. So let's analyze this song. I guess we're just jumping right into it. I'm not going to warm up. When we play E minor, we have E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, and then E. It has the same spelling as G major because they share a key. So when you're doing your circle O fifths, C major, G major, D major, A major, E major, B major, F sharp, and then C sharp, you have the opportunity to play each one of those moduses just in a major scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That gets you very, very, very much accustomed to where you're going on this fretboard. And then you can see that your inversions are just the things that we move up and down the fretboard in order to see where these notes connect. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. If we go forward, C sharp, D sharp, B sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, C sharp. Doesn't mean you need to know your whole fretboard, but what I would suggest to anybody who's open to suggestion, pick one string for a week and go E, E sharp, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, C sharp, D sharp, E. When you do this, you are simply giving yourself the ability to say, I did something. You do it one time, you got a concept. You do it 1,000 times, you are rock solid on that concept, aswar. Because the reason being is you can't go through all this without learning a little something or picking up how this information just kind of stacks itself. So here's the honest to goodness truth. when we're playing C major, we're playing D major, we're playing G major, and E minor, there is no D major in the key of C. C, D goes to a minor second. That minor second, a D minor, is a beautiful chord onto which you can play anywhere on this redboard if you want to. Learning the inversions are on this channel, which means you just really need to go to your favorite browser, type in my silly name, WAGO, and then type in whatever chord you want. If you want to do like a D minor 6 or a B flat major 7, and you want to see the difference between all these chords, they're all on there. I go a little bit slower, but not too much. Sorry about that. If you want to slow this nonsense down, you can look for that little circle gear thing-a-ding and then put it down to 0.75. It doesn't make a lot of difference, but if you're trying to see chord shapes, it does. I just can't talk slower. I apologize. Bad. Yeah. So when we're going through here, oh, thank you for that. When we're going through these changes in the Wonder, the whole E, G, D, and C give us the ability to go, well, if it's not the key of C major, could it be G? So look through the chords of G. G major, A major, B minor, C major, there's that C. D major, ooh, there's a D major. Oh, there's an E minor. So immediately I found a key that has all of those chords in it. The C did not, as there was a D minor. The G. Let's just review the D because we're there. We know that E minor is the relative minor of G major because every sixth, major 6, tonic, major 2nd, major 3rd, perfect 4th, I can't do it, I hurt my hand, perfect 5th, and then major 6. That major 6 of every key is going to be the relative minor. And the key of C, C, D, E, F, G, A minor, has the same key signature as C. When you play an A minor 6, you're just including the 6. When you play a C6, you are just including that, or an A minor 7 or a C6. You're just including the chords of A, C, E, and then you're going to add on that one note, the G. So hypothetically, you could do that in every key while practicing, again, your circle fifths. C, D, E, F, G, A, G, A, B, C, D, E, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B. Yeah, B minor is the relative major and minor that share the same key signature. And the truth of it is the circle fifths allows you to see chords and keys at a time. Learn the key of C. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Learn the key of F. F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, and F. And then learn the key of G. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. When you learn those 3 keys, when somebody tries to explain modes to you, eventually you're going to go, oh, that makes sense. They all kind of have that feeling. Like C, D, E, F sharp gives you C Lydian, which is in the key of G as the 4th scale degree. Because when you play a C major scale, and then you include the F sharp rather than the F, you are essentially playing a G Ionian. When you complete a C major scale from G, that gives you that F sharp tonality, and then the modes allow you to focus on that when you're in the groove. Let me give you an example. That note builds a little bit of tension, but it's perfect for the groove. Whether you're using a dominant chord or you're using a major chord or a major 7, it feels great over the top of that. So, I digress. When we get into the song, we look at it through the eyes of D. D major, E minor, F sharp minor, a G major, A major, the B minor, and then C sharp diminish. You could also play an A dominant, A7. When you look at all these kind of ideas, you could go, okay, yeah, a D is in the key of D. E minor is the minor 2nd. It is in the key. Our 4th is the key of G. And then if we play our C sharp diminished, we are playing our major 7 scale degree. Minor 7 scale degree, you could play as a minor, you could play as a diminished, you could play as an augmented. If you play it as a major, it is a C major. So hypothetically, is C in the key of D? No, it is not. But is the flat 7 the most versatile interval that we have in a major chord, being like the 1, 3, 5, 1, 4, 5, the 7, and then you change the 7 from the natural 7, major 7, down to a flat 7? minor 7, you get a whole world of different change. So in this one, yeah, we could call this through the key of C. We could say it's a, you're going to hold these over the top. You would basically have a 3 chord, you'd have a 5 chord, you'd have a major sus2 chord, and then you would have a tonic C. But that's not a great way to name it. If you name it through like the key of D, you would say, okay, cool, so we've got an E minor, a minor 2, and then we're going to have a 4 chord, and then we're going to have a 1 chord, sus, and then we're going to be playing a flat 7. That's not a bad way to name it if you're, used to naming things in the key of D, but it's not purely correct. And then if you play in the key of G, you would say this is a minor 6. It is a tonic. It's a sus 5 chord, and then it goes to the 4 chord. So all of these kind of concepts here, they layer on. When you when you learn one song and then you learn another, then another, then another, then another, then another, then another, then on and on and on and on. It gives you the ability to kind of like pull things together and say something along the lines of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do works in the key of C. But we're not in the key of C. We're in the key of G. So over the top of this E minor, G major, D, and then a C, the best bet for soloing would probably be like a G major or an E minor pentatonic. After that, you would probably see your arpeggios, your 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1. If you wanted to, because the D is there, you can play D major, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, but I wouldn't go to C sharp. I would go to C natural, and that gives us D dominant. Now I know that D dominant is not being played there, but the tonality of that one note, the C sharp, sounds disjunct, I guess would be a great word to say for our vocabulary in this episode. Disjunct. It means it's just not, it's not pleasing to the ear. It has a category where these consonants, the 1, 3, 5, don't meet. The reason in the key of D, our C is a flat 7. In the key of G, our C is a 4 chord. The ratio that happens between the two doesn't meet well because it causes an extreme amount of dissonance with that 7th chord in both degrees. So, having said that, blah, 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 you do not need to know any of these things to understand how to analyze music. If you simply say, this is a chord I know, this is a chord I know, this is a chord I know, and this is a chord I know, try and see which one of those are versatile. Maybe I could blow your mind at the end of this video. E's relative minor is G, D's relative minor is B, and then C's relative minor is A. So if I replace the two chords onto which aren't parallel, doesn't that give this song a really different sound? So is it stealing? When you do analyzation on music, what if you were to take these chords because you like them, make them a little bit longer? Now it doesn't sound like the song we started off with because it's deconstructed, but we use music theory to analyze it. And honestly, at this point, turn it around, use these chords. What does music theory do for me? It allows me to see the whole construction of the chords. There are simply 7 chords, and when you put them together, they sound great. You can take chords from other keys, like how about the key of A? A major has A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, and G sharp. If I take that G sharp is like an E major 7, which means if I'm playing G major, there is no E. Now check this out. Still goes into the A minor. Here's that D, F in the bass, sus E minor, but we don't call it a sus, we call it a 9 chord. Feels like it wants to resolve down here, but not. Deprives the listener of that. How do we know what this depravity is? We base it off of the circle of fifths. Knowing that in the key, as we already said, the major 6, it's called the deceptive cadence when you end any of your phrasings on that. So, and today, if we learn how to just understand a song, how to play any song means you kind of listen to it. So right now, if there's somebody in the comment section, and I hope there is, Maybe I'm not even live right now. I'll just upload this later. Can't figure out technology. The idea is let's just grab a random song. How about I do this? Random song? Here we go. How about Paul Simon? Well, let me put a little something on my fingies here. Oh my goodness. So, Paul Simon. Let's pick a song. How about Me and Julio? So, from what I understand, we've got A, D, or we can move it up, A and an E. A major, D major, A major, E major. Or A, D, A, E. Or A, D, A, E, E. All of them sound really cool. Maybe that could be an intro. Mama Pajama rolled out of bed and ran to the police station. When Papa found out, he began to shout and he started the investigation. Well, I'm on my way. Don't know where I'm going. I'm on my way. Take it. I don't remember how to play it now. Oh, goes D. So, here we go, through music theory. We're starting off with A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, or E dominant. Each one of these forms the diminished chord, and there's a little video I have out there about diminished chords, how none of them are really different from each other. You only have two sources that aren't, because when you put other notes with it, blah, 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 1, flat 3, flat 5, and then double flat 7 or something along those lines. When you move around and shift those notes, only two of them actually are different than any. Every other chord makes some sort of diminishment in the eyes of music and how the frequencies work. So you can use pretty much any of them. But as far as this, in the key of A, B, C sharp, D, we have a 1 chord. Oh, jeez. We've got a 1 chord. We have a 4 chord. And then we've got a 5 chord. That's basically the progression of Me and Julio. The rhythm then becomes... Feels like a broken rhythm, but if you do a faster gate, notice how my hand's never stopping to move? So the practicing is what I teach my students. Long story short, we do downstrokes, upstrokes, downstrokes, upstrokes to exhibit either a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a... Once students understand what the whole note, half note, quarter note, eighth note, 16th note, 32nd notes, and then the tuplet, almost all rhythms are accessible. Almost all of them. So the whole thing that I like to do when I'm building syllabuses for a student is to find out where they're at, show them the spider exercises, which I show every student, keeping these fingers 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1. When doing this, you learn a couple of valuable things. One, you manage your time. If you do this for 5 minutes every day, it'll get your fingers all excited about playing. You can even go down, descending. Notice how my fingers aren't really moving from where they are. They're just kind of walking up and down this, like a little spider going up and down a cobweb. Long story short, I find that doing different patterns help to build recognition. So if you can do pattern recognition on just 4 strings, 6, 4, 24, you have so many opportunities to do this. The whole idea is taking songs that you're learning. Let's do another one. How about the chorus of that? And you're really hanging on. 1, 4, 1, 1, 5, 1, 4, 1, 1, 5, 4, 1, 4, 1. Ooh, there's a B major. There's no B major in the key of A. We just borrowed a chord from the key of E. So hypothetically, before we jump down to the major 5th, we just played something from the key of E. Now, here's the whole idea. It's not from the key of D. D has a B minor. E major has a B major. So when we're talking about that 5th, we're talking about looking at 2 different keys. This song is not in one key. It borrowed from another chord. Whether you want to call it an E, if we had E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, and then D major, we would have a flat 7. So you could call this chord in the key of E, and you could go, it's a E, F sharp, G sharp, A, 4 chord, flat 7, 4 chord, 1, 4 chord, flat 7, 4 chord, 1, flat 7, 4 chord, 7, chickity, chickity, chicky, 4, 5, 1, flat 7, 1, 1. Ooh, another chord, not in the key of E. So why would I want to call it in the key of E? But here's the real brain buster. A major does not have a G either. It has a G sharp minor. Or at best, you have an E dominant, which is a G sharp diminished. Oh, I'm sorry, it has a G sharp diminished. I don't know what I'm thinking. D major, however, does. It's a 4. So the reason why you're not in one key is because you're kind of in all of them moving back and forth. If the artist chose not to do that, just doesn't sound right. Diminished. How about an AUG? Kind of closer. Minor, maybe closer, but nope, just doesn't sound great. So we're gonna stay in the key of A, call it as such. 1, 4, 1, 1, 5, 1, 4, 1, 1, 5, 4, 1, 4, 1, major 2, 5. Goodbye, Rose, Queen of Corona. The outro, me and Julio down by the schoolyard. A to G, D to E, and then A, D, A, E, A to G, D to E. So we're basically using the intro for the verse, and then we're wrapping it up, putting two concepts or motifs together, or themes, and then we're playing those two themes back and forth together. And that's, I believe, how they end the song. So when looking at songs like this, I'm going to wrap this one up too. Looking at songs like this, the whole point of doing this is to be able to access just a little bitty part of what music theory is. And through the eyes of the circle of fifths, when wanting to solo over this, you could go A, D, A, E. Use your A. Use your F sharp minor pentatonic. You could use your D. Arpeggios work really good. A major seventh into a main major. 1, 3, 5, 7, 1 is great because that's our A sus. And when using chords that are inside the key and the notes that you have, that D is fine. It's in the key of A, so it's in the key of D. It's also in the key of G. So I would urge anybody who's learning to solo right now and they feel timid, just go at it. Try and hit all the right notes and try to hit all the wrong notes. Hit every note you possibly can. And the whole purpose is, if you follow my methodology and you see this fretboard as being just quadrants, this first quadrant here, well, in A, see how my fingers never remove from playing the notes over the frets of 2 and 4 here? As soon as I go up to A here at the 5th fret, I now have 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and then 9th. One finger down, my Spidey exercise, a finger extension. Then when I do that here, that gives me 3 distinct quadrants of 4 strings, which total up to 12 an octave. I could go open or to 5. I could go to 4 to 9, and then I could go from our 8 to our 13. That's exactly how the system that I teach works, and my students, I think, like it. I have a very great success rate on stringed instruments. Other than that, being able to play through a song and know what the chords are really the foundation of learning how to solo in it. The reason why soloing comes later, one, generally you don't have somebody to play with. You're by yourself and you're dinking out stuff, and the invention of loopers makes it a lot more fun. So if I was going to explain how to do anything and we were like, let's do an analyzation on another song, do a quick deconstruction, show how to practice the practice of practicing, and let's relate it back to the circle of fifths, and then what you could do to look at your fingerings while playing. How about just some like standard? How about like D minor, G minor, C minor, C major, A dominant, Don't like that C minor, but what are you gonna do? Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of that C minor, so sorry to ruin the buzz there. How about we just do the same groove without that silly C minor? So, by naming this, D minor is the sixth of some chord. Every minor is the sixth of some chord. Everyone knows how to say 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But many people can't go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, G, F, E, D, C, B, A. Try it. If you can go forwards and backwards immediately, good on you. You should play music. It is hard to think backwards when talking about letters. Why? We're never really trained to do it that way. So we're not used to having that neuron synapse fire when we go for it. For this one, D minor is the sixth, so let's count backwards. We have our D, C, B, G, F. Well, we know in the key of F that we have 6 sharps in the key of F sharp, and if we have F major, we have 1 flat. So the spelling would have been D, C, B flat, right? So knowing that our D minor is also our F major chord, we have 2 chords of possibility to solo with. The other 2 chords, the G minor, is there a G minor in the key of F? Yeah, it's the minor second. All right, we're closer to knowing the progression and the key signature. Let's see, that C major. Is there a C in F? Yeah. Generally, after finding 3 chords, I stop there and say, cool, we're in the key of D minor or in the key of F. They share a key. How does this song feel? Does this song feel happy or does this song feel sad? Now, that's an opinion thing because moduses and moods probably shouldn't determine whether a chord or a key is in there. The reason why a chord or a key will be in a minor rather than a major, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't stay in something called natural minor. It will modulate to a different mode or modus that has this different sharpening. Whenever you view music through the eyes of the minor, it has a flat 3, flat 6, and a flat 7. That flat 7 and flat 6 and the flat 3 determine what are chords of a natural minor. As soon as you add back in that natural 7th, you get something called harmonic minor. The reason why songs are in minor keys rather than just all written in the relative major is because there are naturals and sharps and flats, sometimes double flats, sometimes double sharps, put into the music on the staff. Thusly, it changes it from just being a D minor, and you would say, ooh, this is in a D natural minor. Or if you put back in the 6th scale degree, like our, what is that, a Dorian, you get a melodic minor, ascending. The whole point of soloing is you kind of float around where your chords are. With the D minor here, I view D minor a couple different ways. As its scale, That was all in D minor, natural minor. And notice how my fingers didn't move from just where my spider exercises were being practiced all day, every day. How did we know how to do that? Well, we've used it through the circle of fifths. Just for feeling, working on natural minor. Sometimes I'll combine the feeling of having a major there and maybe do it with a different fingering. Countless hours will lead to you playing over notes and over scales and over chords, hitting the wrong notes, and eventually you'll hit the right ones. My hopes for all of my students are once we see that tertiary harmony, like building chords, is great, you can put extended chords. Some of these chords like this are going to want a particular harmonization with whatever mode you're putting over when you want to go to solo, or if you're building chords or writing music with other instruments. It's very interesting to know what chords are, because then you can start writing for multiple instruments. And I've already said too much. The whole idea about being able to understand one song is great. When you understand two songs, that means that you got something going. If you devote every week to analyzing 5 songs, 4 songs, 3 songs, 2 songs, 1 songs, just no songs. I hate double negatives. All of you. I do apologize for that. So if the whole idea is you would like to get a little bit better at what you're doing, the circle fifths is where it's at. If you have a guitar, great. If you have your voice, great. If you play guitar and you're working on voice, hear your circle. The third modus is called Phrygian. When you play that same C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, when you play E from there, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, it becomes Phrygian. Well, sing that. C major. Being able to hear the notes over the top as dyadic structures or harmonies is a wonderful way to become it's a wonderful way to train your ear for oral skills and to just feel intervals. So when you do hear something like that and you're like, ooh, geez, that's a wrong note. Why is that a wrong note? You can put that together with, oh, it's not really a wrong note. It just so happens the key we're playing in does not have this chord. So if we're doing, yeah, it feels weird. Well, how do you make that work? Not dirty enough? I can't help from playing. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, and it makes more sense on how to look at any song through the eyes of music, try the circle fifths. The circle fifths is going to allow you to do things that you didn't think you were going to be able to do. Another great thing to do is get a little notebook, a music notebook. The more that you write down your thoughts musically and you put them on page and paper, the more you have to share with others, and then go back and look at things a little bit analytical. I think that one of the biggest pleasures I have in life right now is I learned a lot of music, like 400,000 plus something songs in my life, out of which 150 of them are Fish songs, about 60 or 70 of them are Zappa tunes. And the thing that really was my drive was I wanted to know what these artists were doing. I thought there had to be some sort of rhyme or reason to what Trey and Paige and Mike and John were doing. And when I heard the different variations of the Zappa arrangements and compositions and the different players that they had, I felt a gravity and a need to understand what it was. So when I heard, I want to know what those rhythms and phrasings are now. And what I alluded to earlier, which is kind of it. You get to a point in music where you are at exactly where you were supposed to be at. In the beginning, when you're trying to work on chords, it might seem weird what chords are and how the fingers work. And remember, there is a rhyme and reason. You don't have to know music theory to have fun with doing music. However, if you would like to do music a little bit more and write your own music, knowing more than just like one or two standard first position chords is apt. And the best way to do that, and this is what I'll leave you on, is to learn a band or an artist. They will lead you to the pond, but you're going to have to learn how to drink on your own. That's kind of what all these videos are. So the one song that kind of not like it was just one song, all of them do. When you learn Stairway, right? You don't think about what that is until you hear another song like, here, I'll do it in a key so I don't get the algorithm. Let It Rain. Eric Clapton tune, then it goes to a major. Let it rain, let it rain. What a great tune, too. The whole idea is when you learn how to play those songs, you can do them in any key at that point. What I teach to my students is the cage system, and then I also teach them a system of being able to just make their own bar chords. So if you know how to play like a G like this, and an A minor like this, and a B minor like this, and an F. See where I'm going with this? You hardly have to move your hands and your fingers. Everywhere you go, you're there. Anywho, my name is Wago Howard. I've been teaching music for a little minute now. If you like what I did, thumbs up. Put a subscribe in there. Ask questions in the comment section. If you have a song that you've been working on and you just cannot figure out those chords, ask me. I'll do a how-to video on it. Leave it in the comment section. Other than that, this video today has served a purpose as being such. It's important to get a teacher. It's important to take direction and then do that. Learn how to take direction, work it into your time, put time into it, and you'll be amazed by month 5 when you're analyzing the music that you like and you've been listening to your whole life. You'll be amazed at the music you'll start writing. And the practicing of practicing the practice is really something. So you might think it's weird and boring to do something like this. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, sharp, G, D, E, F, sharp, G, A, B, C, sharp, D. So on and so forth. When you get to something like E and you're like E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E. And you're like, great, A has 3 sharps, E has 4. What happens if I play E but I take one of those sharps out? Oh, I get A Ionian, but this isn't called A Ionian. A Ionian is called E Mixolydian. And then you get into moduses, you realize what notes in a major scale, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, which one of those makes the most sense to put next to each other to build tension. And then writing music, I cannot tell you how freeing and liberating it is to write some fun music and then share it with your friends and your family and your community. Anywho, I've said too much already. If you enjoyed this, put your thumbs up, subscribe, maybe put something cool in the comment section what you've been working on. And if you have an opportunity, have an awesome day. Aloha.